Welcome back to World of Thrills for another walkthrough video. This is going to be a full walkthrough tour of Six Flags Over Georgia. Now I want to start with how you get here. This park is located in Austell, Georgia, right off of I-20. It is about 12 minutes from the downtown Atlanta area and about 20 minutes from the Atlanta airport. Now these next clips are going to show you the route we took to get to the park. Right now we are traveling on westbound 285. We're going to look for I-20, which is the Tom Murphy Freeway. Get off at exit 10B. That'll get us onto the Tom Murphy Freeway and then heading towards the park. Once you've merged onto I-20, it'll be a short 1.5-mile drive over to the exit. Once you start approaching the park, you'll see the entrance sign for Six Flags, and then you will see Goliath towering above the trees. You're going to be looking for exit 47 for Six Flags Parkway, and that is how you'll get to the park from there. So you're going to see us exiting off the interstate. This is, again, exit 47. There'll be a stop sign at the end of this, and then you'll make a left turn onto Six Flags Parkway and head towards the park. So here you see us approaching the stop sign. And after a couple cars pass by, we'll be able to make our turn and head towards the park. All right. We are now on Six Flags Parkway. It's basically going to be a straight shot to the park. And you pass underneath the bridge, and there you see the park in front of you. Now, Six Flags Over Georgia, unfortunately, does not have the parking lot right in front of the entrance. So that does make things a little bit inconvenient, and the parking experience is kind of odd. So, but to get to the parking lot, you'll make a left turn at the end of this road, and then you'll start your journey along this long, windy road that takes you past the front entrance and over to the parking lot for the park. Going along this road, you'll have a couple of your first roller coasters. Right above you, that is Goliath, right above us, and then on the right, the red coaster, that is Georgia Scorcher. We will talk about all the attractions throughout this video. As you start approaching the parking booth, there are speed bumps, so that's just something to be aware about. But here is the parking booth for Six Flags Over Georgia. So let's go ahead and pass through here and enter the parking lot. Once you've gotten through the parking booth, you'll be now in the parking lot. That's where we are right now. Here you get an idea of how big the parking lot is and how large it is. Six Flags Over Georgia does get pretty large crowds when it wants to. But fortunately for us, the park was not super busy that day that we visited, so we were able to get a pretty close spot, which is always nice. This is Batman the Ride, the park's B&M inverted roller coaster. There you can see it pulling into the final brake run. There you can see Goliath one more time, towering above the station for Batman, above the tree line. You can now look at the parking lot. All the way down there, you can see some of the other attractions in the park. That is Pandemonium, Blue Hawk, and the Sky Screamer, which we will get to later on. And again, you can see how big the parking lot is. Here's some more of the parking lot. So this is kind of the closer, quote-unquote, closer spots that they have. But there are two ways to get to the front entrance from here. Either you can either choose to walk along the sidewalk that is on the left-hand side, and that will take you a good 10 or so minutes to walk up to the front entrance from the parking lot. Or your other option is to take the tram. The road that is right next to us is where the tram travels on, so just be careful of where you're walking in the parking lot so you don't get ran over by the tram. But the tram is your quicker way to get up to the front entrance if you did not choose to walk. Here you get a look at Batman going up its lift hill. we pause and watch it go through its first half. Here's another look at the tram. You can see a couple cars. Not the biggest tram in the world, but it does give you to the front entrance. Or you can choose to walk. If you do not want to park in the parking lot, there are a couple ways you can do that. The first of which is either staying at one of the closer hotels. You have the Roadway Inn, the Guest Inn right next to it, and then on the other side of I-20 is the Econo Lodge. Those are your three closest hotels to the park. They are all within walking distance, so that can save you from having to park in the parking lot. Or if you are staying at a hotel farther away and you do have to drive, there are a couple separate parking lots located near the front entrance. Do note that those parking lots are smaller, and I do not know how often they use them. But if they are open and you are able to use them, I would definitely recommend getting a spot in one of those lots. Otherwise, you will have to come all the way back here and park in this parking lot, where again you'll have to either take the tram up to the entrance or walk, which again will take you about 10 minutes. Walking, though, does have some nice perks, as for someone like me who likes to take photos and videos of the roller coasters. You will get some pretty neat shots of some of the roller coasters, one of which is right here on the left next to you, the green roller coaster. That is the Riddler Mindbender. It's the park's Schwarzkopf looping coaster. You saw Batman, the ride, a bit earlier, and then further ahead along this pathway you'll see Georgia Scorcher and Goliath one more time. So there are a few neat things about walking. But you can see again the tram going back and forth on the right next to us. If you do choose to walk, just make sure you're staying on the left side of the black fence that you'll see in just a little bit, as it does separate you from the road that the tram travels on, so you don't get accidentally ran over. There you can see the parking booth one more time and the road that we just traveled on. There you can see a sign for the chaperone policy that the park has recently added, and a lot of parks have started to add as well, which is a welcome thing, as it's a way to try and keep things orderly throughout the park. And if you're wondering why I'm not really speeding this up, again, the main reason is just to show everyone what it's like to actually walk up to the entrance, how long it actually takes. So speeding it up wouldn't necessarily accomplish that. So, well, if you want to fast forward ahead to the entrance, you can go ahead and do so, but I'm going to continue walking along this pathway here so that everyone can get an idea of how long it actually takes. There again is the street that you just traveled on to get into the park, or get into the parking lot, and then the parking booth you traveled through. Yeah, I'm going to continue along this pathway to give everyone an idea of how long it actually takes to walk to the entrance. But again, if you want to fast forward, you're more than welcome to do so. Now, Six Flags Over Georgia is one of my favorite parks I visited, and one of the main reasons is that it has one of the best ride collections in my opinion. It currently houses 45 different attractions, ranging from 12 roller coasters with a 13th on the way, and several other different attractions for all age groups. They have 4 really fantastic flat rides, and we'll get to all those later on. We saw 2 roller coasters early at the start when we were back in the parking lot, and then there's going to be you have 2 more coming up when you start approaching the entrance. It's going to be Georgia Scorcher, which is the red coaster on the left next to the pathway, and then Goliath, which is the coaster towering above the pathway. There goes Goliath. And there's Georgia Scorcher on the left. Goliath is the one towering above us. That tower in the distance that is above the trees, that is Acrophobia. That is the park's drop tower. A very unique attraction, and we will talk about that more later on in this video. And that'll actually be one of the last attractions we'll be talking about. Here's another look at the road that the tram travels on. So again, as long as you're on the left side of the black fence, you'll be just fine. But yeah, once you start seeing Georgia Scorcher and Goliath, you'll know that you're starting to get closer to the front. And here you can see Georgia Scorcher going up the lift hill. So why don't we pause and watch it go through its layout. Stand-up coasters typically get mixed emotions with people, but Georgia Scorcher is one of the better attractions of its kind. I myself have only done 3 stand-up coasters, but I can say Georgia Scorcher is one of the better ones. I've also done Riddler's Revenge at Magic Mountain, and I've also done Pipeline as well. We've done rides like Green Lantern at Great Adventure. This ride is very similar to that ride too. But here you can see the entrance for Six Flags. There you saw where the tram drops you off at. It's right next to the entrance, nice and convenient. And the entrance is actually seeing a nice change. Before it was a lot more of a bottleneck, and it was much more tighter. Here it's nice and wide open, which is a welcome renovation that they decided to do. But let's pass through. And now I'll bring us back to here. This is where we were at the beginning. So this is the entrance plaza, and there is where we just came from. And here you can get an idea of what the entrance plaza looks like. Right behind us is the old entrance. That's where you used to walk underneath to get into the park. But thanks to the renovations they have put in, it is much more wide open and free. And the facade behind me just serves as the exit now. But this is your typical kind of entry plaza into the park. Six Flags Universe is the main gift shop in the park. You have some other shops and restaurants on either side. As you saw, the park does have their Fright Fest Halloween event going on right now. So throughout this video you will see various Halloween decorations placed throughout the park. And you get to the end of this pathway, you'll have the Six Flags Over Georgia sign, very nice photo op. And if you go to the right, you will have Twisted Cyclone, which will be the first attraction you will encounter if you go to the right. You'll also find the Flash Pass headquarters down that way as well. But we're going to go to the left and begin our walkthrough here by going, and we're going to go clockwise through the park. There you can see the other entrance to Six Flags Universe. Down there you can see you'll find the guest services as well as a set of lockers. So if you have a bigger bag, you can put your bag in there and go to and from that locker throughout the day. There's a funnel cake stand right next to us on the left. So we are now gonna head up the hill and begin our walkthrough here. We're basically following this blue line that you see on the bottom, on the ground. That'll basically act as your way to get around. Now up in this area, you're gonna have your first two attractions if you decide to go left rather than go right. You're going to have the park's log flume, which is the entrance you see on the right, which unfortunately was closed, but I think it was just closed due to the time of the year we were visiting the park yet. So that was closed for our visit. But then right across from the log flume, you have the entrance to Georgia Scorcher. Again, it's the B&M stand-up coaster. It is one of 4 B&M coasters in the park. Again, I know stand-up coasters typically get mixed emotions, but Georgia Scorcher is a really good roller coaster, one that I recommend checking out. Right there you can see a pretzel stand, get some regular pretzels as well as cinnamon sugar pretzels. We're now going to pass underneath this bridge and through this tunnel and into our next area. This is a nice shaded area to get away from the sun if you come on a hot day. And here you can see Goliath going up the lift hill. Why don't we pause and watch it go down the first drop. Over here is a set of restrooms all the way down there on the left. Over here next to it is where you'll find one of the haunted houses in the park. It is a Saw-themed haunted house, and it's in that gray building tucked way back off the pathway on the left. And you can always identify where the haunted attractions are via the haunted attraction signs that you see placed right next to the entrance for those attractions. Unfortunately, the haunted attractions are separate. You will have to pay separately for those. For Six Flags Over Georgia, they do have a stand at the front of the park right next to the entrance sign where you can purchase your haunted attractions pass. But yeah, that is something you have to purchase separately from your admission. And now over here, you'll find your next roller coaster. And this is Daredevil Dive. This opened in 2011. It is a Gerstlauer Eurofighter. It has a vertical lift hill and a beyond vertical first drop. Takes you through a few inversions, and it's a very compact layout, but a pretty fun layout as well. This does have one of the lower capacities in the park. It does only seat 6 per car. They typically do have 2 or 3 cars going, maybe sometimes 4. But yeah, if you are coaster enthusiasts looking for coaster credits, definitely try and hit this early, as it does, again, have a pretty low capacity. go. One of the fun things I like to do when going up that lift hill is you can do a little bit of like a crunch match or whatever to see how many crunches you can do before you get to the top. Since you're basically laying on your back, you can see how many crunches you can do, which is always a fun little game you can play. But now we're going to head down the hill and into Gotham City, which is just one of the few DC themed areas in the park. In Gotham City, you'll find several different attractions such as Mindbender, Batman the Ride, Catwoman's Whip, Supervillain Swings, Poison Ivy Toxic Spin, and then Harley Quinn Wild World. Also within Gotham City, you'll find the newest attraction, one of the newest attractions in the park, and it's right here on the right. This is Kid Flash Cosmic Coaster, which unfortunately at the time of this video was not open. It experienced a pretty bad incident earlier this year. It opened in 2023, but earlier this year it experienced some kind of incident that has caused it to be down since then, so it was not open for us during this visit, which is unfortunate, but hopefully next time I visit it'll be open and I can experience this roller coaster. It is a Skyline Spaghetti Gold coaster. I know there are a couple others going to other parks in the country. I think like Six Flags Over Texas is also getting one, but yeah, that was not open. There's the Supervillain Swings. Right next to that is the Poison Ivy Toxic Spin. And then right next to that, tucked away here on the left, is the entrance for Riddler Mindbender. And that's a Schwarzkopf looping coaster. It opened in 1978, so it is one of the older attractions in the park. Over here is the reference to the Harley Quinn movie that came out called Birds of Prey. This is the Birds of Prey Cafe. Over here you have another Harley Quinn ride called the Harley Quinn Wild Whirl. It is a kind of tilt-a-whirl kind of attraction. Gotham City Gifts is one of the main gift shops in the area. That is also the exit for Batman the Ride. And the entrance for Batman the Ride is over here. This is basically the end of this area. So you have the entrance for Batman the Ride, and then you also have the entrance for Catwoman's Whip. Batman the Ride again is the B&M inverted roller coaster that we saw once we entered the parking lot. Catwoman's Whip is a Zamperla Endeavor. It's basically a second generation Enterprise ride. There's a set of restrooms, and that's basically going to do it for this area. So we're now going to start heading out of here. Batman the Ride here is one of the many cloned roller coasters you can find at other Six Flags parks, as well as some other locations throughout the world. This one in particular is my favorite one, simply because it seems to run a lot faster than some of the others. So definitely one I recommend checking out when you come over to Six Flags over Georgia. But there you can see Supervillain Swings going. There's the entrance one more time for Kid Flash Cosmic Coaster. And here's the unfortunate sign telling you that the ride is closed. And we apologize for the inconvenience. So again, unfortunate to miss out on this one, but hopefully next time I visit, it'll be open. There's a look at the wave swinger one more time. There's a map of the park, so if you ever get lost, you can consolidate one of those maps, and it can help find your way around. But we're now gonna head out of Gotham City, which means we will have to go back up the same hill we came down to get out of Gotham City. So again, just another one of the examples of the terrain change that is within the park. You will be constantly going up and downhill throughout this park, so be prepared to get your steps in when you come to Six Flags over Georgia. Running downhill in the rain, that's not a very smart thing to do. Speaking of the rain, I do apologize if any of the raindrops get on the lenses, make little smudge marks. It was raining on and off throughout the day, and sometimes the raindrops would get on the lens, which was kind of annoying, but something I just kind of had to power through to get this video out. So I do apologize for that in advance. But we have now gotten out of Gotham City, so once again, immediately on the right, you're going to have the entrance for Daredevil Dive, Flight School. That's a Coke refresh stand. Right in front of us is a restaurant where you can find some of your typical offerings you find in Six Flags parks, such as burgers, chicken tenders, chicken sandwiches. If you took the pathway on the right, that would take you back towards Georgia Scorcher in the front entrance. So we're going to continue to the left and again follow this blue line on the floor. And there, once again, you can see Goliath going up the lift hill, which means it's time to talk about my current favorite roller coaster in the park, which is, of course, Goliath. Goliath, again, is a B&M hyper coaster. It stands exactly 200 feet tall, has a drop of 175 feet, so it does have that height of 200 feet, so it does qualify it as a hyper coaster. Again, it's my favorite ride in the park. It was built in 2006 and is actually currently my favorite of the hyper coasters that B&M has produced. Simply because it has a non-stop layout filled with all sorts of airtime, and a very intense helix halfway through. And the ending is pretty insane as well. Definitely a highlight and one that I recommend checking out. But all this area is just an area devoted to Goliath. There's some restrooms down here. Yeah, some more games. Goliath gifts and souvenirs is the gift shop and also is the exit for the attraction. There you can see the entrance and also an entrance for one of the haunted houses as well. And this is a dead end, so you will have to walk back out of here. And again, all this area is just an area devoted to Goliath. And again, you have one of the haunted houses down here as well. And because I love this ride so much, let's watch it go up the lift hill one more time. This ride, as you see, gets really up and close to the pathway, so you can get some great shots of the attraction. So it's one of the more picturesque rides in the park. There's one thing that I don't like about the ride, and it's not really the ride's fault, it's more of the people that work the ride. The ride crew does have a tendency of pushing the lap bar down a lot further than typically you're supposed to do. I know the typical saying is push down, pull up when checking the restraint, as I am a rider myself. But they seem to do that to an extreme to where it kind of hurts at times, and they do tend to staple you when you're trying to ride. So if that's something that would bother you, do be aware when you come to ride Goliath. The ride crew is kind of insane at times. But that's the only thing that's really negative about the ride. Again, it's not really the ride's fault, it's more the crew itself. Here you go. You have some more games right next to it. You see a basketball game and some more games next to it. Over here is a barbecue area. You can get some more fancier options, I guess. You get some chicken and some pulled pork. But we're now going to start heading back down the hill and into our next area. Now, this area over here on the left, I believe is one of the two stations for the Marthasville train ride. If someone can correct me in the comments, that'd be appreciated. But I believe that is one of the two stations that they use for the train ride that goes around the park. Macho Nacho, which is the restaurant on the right, where you can find some Mexican food options. There you saw some more Fright Fest decorations. And if you continue down this pathway straight ahead, it would take you to Monster Mansion, as well as the DC Super Friends area, and it could also get you back to the front of the park as well. So we're going to continue down the hill on the left here. And again, just kind of following this blue line on the ground. Alright, once you've gone down the hill here, you're going to have another split off to go right or left. If you go to the right, that will take you over to the DC Super Friends area and get you over to the Metropolis area by Superman. But we're going to again continue to the left and head to our next area. And this is where you'll find 3 more pretty awesome attractions. The first of which is going to be right in front of you once you pass underneath the bridge. This is Pandemonium. Pandemonium is a Zamperla giant discovery. So it stands around 150 feet tall, swings you at about 70 miles an hour, back and forth like a giant pendulum, and it is my favorite flat ride in the park. And then on the left next to it is the entrance for the park's go-karts, which unfortunately was closed during our visit, so I don't know how often they run those, but they are here right next to Pandemonium. So here's the entrance sign of Pandemonium, and all you have in this area is the ride's entrance and exit, so that's where you can go to get on Pandemonium. That's all that's in this area. So we're going to continue on to the left and head towards Blue Hawk and the Sky. as a ninja. But recently they repainted it blue and gave it a new name. Now it's Blue Hawk. And this is one of those attractions that also gets kind of mixed emotions with people. I myself rather enjoy this attraction. It is one of the loopier roller coasters. It has about 5 inversions. And while it is janky in some spots for sure, it is a very unique and pretty fun attraction in my opinion. There you can get a look at the skyscraper. And if you follow the pathway on the left where the blue line is going, that will actually get you down into the picnic pavilion that the park has if you have any larger group gatherings. But we are now gonna pass through this shaded tunnel, and on the other side you will have the entrance for Blue Hawk, as well as Great American Scream Machine, which we'll talk about in just a second. Here's a little basketball game right next to Blue Hawk's entrance. There's some vending machines, and then right next to that is the Blue Hawk entrance. One thing I can appreciate too about Blue Hawk is that the trains they use does have the vest restraints that you can find on other Vekoma roller coasters. So it does prevent headbanging, which is really appreciated. But definitely a unique attraction. Don't pass up on this one when you come to Six Flags Over Georgia. Definitely check out Blue Hawk. It's really, really cool attraction. And there's the entrance for that. And one that I would definitely say check out is our next roller coaster we'll be talking about. It has Great American Scream Machine. There you can get a look inside the station. At the time, it was not... At the time of this recording, it was not open. It would open later on in the video, or later on in the day. But at the time of this video, it was not currently up at the moment. But Great American Scream Machine is the park's old wooden roller coaster. It was opened in 1973, so another fairly old attraction within the park. And one that I definitely recommend checking out. I know this ride kind of gets mixed emotions again with people. I myself don't really find it to be too bad. I know there was a point where it would slam to a hard stop in the brake run. They have since fixed that, and they no longer do that anymore. So that's very appreciated. I never rode it when it slammed to a hard stop in the brake run. Yeah, definitely one that worth checking out. It is kind of rough, but that's just kind of what you get with the old wooden roller coaster like this one. There's the entrance to Sky Coaster. And here you can see that Great American Scream Machine is in fact an Ace roller coaster landmark. So definitely gives you, again, another reason to check out the attraction. And definitely, I just say, in my opinion, it is worth paying homage to, the old wooden, these old wooden coasters, because you don't really know how much longer they have. That's just something I go by. The ramp on the left is the exit for Great American Scream Machine. You saw the final brake run. And then all the way down here, you're going to find the entrance to Hurricane Harbor. So if you come on a very hot day and you want to check out the water park, it is right here, right next to the exit for Great American Scream Machine. And as you can see, the rain really started to come down hard at this point in the video. And there you can see one of the smudge marks on the lens, as it was coming down pretty hard at this point in the video. But again, for you guys, I decided to power through it to get this video out. But once you walk through there, you're going to be in Metropolis. This is where you'll find Superman Ultimate Flight and Justice League Battle for Metropolis. The entrance for Superman will be right here on the left. It is a B&M flying coaster and was one of the first iterations of the B&M flying coasters. The first one coming at Alton Towers. This one opened in 2002. Shortly after that, this was the first of these Superman clones that you can now find at 3 different parks. You have the one here, Six Flags Great Adventure, and Six Flags Great America as well. This was one of the first flying coasters to feature the now pretzel loop that you can find on other flying coasters such as Manta at SeaWorld Orlando, Tatsu at Six Flags Magic Mountain, and the other Superman clones as well. The pretzel loop is my favorite element that can be found on any roller coaster. Really intense moment. And now we're going to head over to the next ride, which will be Justice League Battle for Metropolis. And here you can look at some of the decorations they have in this area. But yeah, over here is Justice League Battle for Metropolis. Used to be a fourth dimension ride. It's not 4D anymore. But it's basically the park's Shooting Dark ride, and it's a ride that you can find at several other Six Flags parks. Basically, you get in a little car, and you have a blaster, and you go throughout the layout, taking out the enemies like Lex Luthor and Joker. You're teaming up with the DC superheroes and taking out the villains. It's a very fun attraction. But that's the last attraction you'll find in this section, so let's go ahead and head out of here and head to our next area. So if you took a right instead of continuing straight like we are right now, it would take you back towards Great American Scream Machine and Blue Hawk. So we're going to head up this way. There's the train tracks for the Marthasville train ride. And now I'm going to take you up to an area where you'll find the oldest attraction in this park. It is the 1908 Riverview Carousel that is right here at the top of this hill. And this is where you'll get a real good idea of how high up you are in the park. You'll also find some other attractions up here as well, one of which is right here on the right. This is the antique car ride. This is the Hanson ride. There's the antique cars. You have a little rotating ship ride over here, and then right across from it is Up, Up, and Away, a little spinning balloon ride. Now this area is a dead end, so you'll have to backtrack out of here, but the reason you'll want to come up here is again for this amazing looking facade for the park's 1908 Riverview Carousel. And they do have a little plaque right here telling you when the ride was built. And I will take you into here to show you what the area looks like. And all you have is the carousel, but it's amazing looking building for it. Hello. Getting an idea how high up you are. There's the track for the antique cars. You can see also the track for the train ride, and then the pathway we were on, we were by Blue Hawk. But yeah, just gives you an idea of what this area looks like. There are some benches up here, so if you have some people riding the carousel, you can take a seat on the bench and wait for them while they ride. Now you can either head all the way back around to where we were, or you can go out here, which basically will serve the same purpose as to getting you back to in front of the carousel and out of this area. But it's just a neat little area. Takes you right up against the track for the antique cars. There you can see Up, Up, and Away going around. entrance for up and away. And we are now back in front of the carousel where we were before we walked around. And so that's gonna take us out of this area and head on to the next one. So as you see, this park is very hilly, and it will take some time to get around, as I've mentioned before. So that is something to keep in mind. There are plenty of times where you're going up and downhill, and this area in particular really highlights that. And the next thing we will be talking about is the thing right in front of us. This big blue and orange roller coaster in front of us is Georgia Surfer. Real quick, if you turn back to the left, that will take you back towards the Metropolis area, back by Superman and Justice League Battle for Metropolis. So we're going to hang a right here. But this right here is Georgia Surfer. It is an Intamin Ultra Surf, which will be nice for the hot Georgia summers. Unfortunately, while it was supposed to open this year, due to delays, it will be unfortunately opening next year in 2025. But you can see the ride is complete. But as far as that, there's not much action going on over here. So hopefully they will figure out what's going on and be able to open the ride for the 2025 season. But here you can get another look at it. You can actually see where the exit pathway will be, and there you can see the loading station. So I assume you'll enter in on the right side, and then you'll exit on the left. And there is the back half of the ride, so that's where you'll have the big splash. Looks very similar to Aquaman Power Wave or at Six Flags Over Texas, so I would imagine it's not going to be too different from that ride, as the only thing that's different between those rides is that Aquaman Power Wave was by Mach Rides and this one's by Intamin, so that's probably the only difference that you have with those two attractions. There you can get another look at the second spike for Georgia Surfer. Now, if you kept going straight on this pathway, it would take you back over to Pandemonium. It could also take you back towards Goliath and that section of the park. So, since we just came from there, we're going to hang a left and across this wooden bridge into the DC Super Friends area. And that takes you right up against the spike for Georgia Surfer. Georgia Surfer will be the 13th roller coaster to come to the park. So that's pretty cool. And one of the roller coasters you'll find in the DC Super Friends area is Joker's Funhouse coaster, which is the green track you see in front of us. Unfortunately, this ride was closed during our visit, which seems to be the case for this ride. It's been closed more often than open each time I visited. I did get a chance to ride it last October when I visited, but yeah, that ride does typically seem to be down a lot more than open. But here you got a couple more rides. You have a little mini drop tower way in the distance. You have a pair of flying scooters, and there, if you walk through there, it'll get you over to the Bugs Bunny Boomtown, but that's also where you can find the entrance for Joker's Funhouse coaster. But we will get to that in a better shot in a little bit, as I want to take you up here and show you one of the highlight attractions of the park, as we cannot talk about Six Flags Over Georgia without mentioning the 1969 Monster Mansion. Now, it did not have Monster Mansion as its original. Monster Mansion was not its original name. It opened with a different name, and it was renamed Monster Mansion 2009. and it's kept that name ever since. But this was a park original. It opened in 1967 with the park, and it's a ride that you typically don't find at a park like this. You typically find rides like that at a Disney or Universal park. But Monster Mansion, definitely one that you should not miss out on when you come to Six Flags over Georgia. Definitely recommend checking that ride out. Over here is the JB's Sports Bar. That's a pretty common restaurant that you'll find at a lot of Six Flags parks. Coca-Cola Corner, an area we can refill your sport bottles. And now this next area doesn't really have any rides. It's just kind of a random area. I don't really know what they plan to do with this area. I believe the building on the right is used for a show. If someone can correct me in the comments and tell me what that building is for, that'd be appreciated. But back there, way back there, is a set of bathrooms, and you can just see some more Fright Fest decorations. And over here, you'll find the entrance to Bugs Bunny Boomtown, which is another kids section of the park. And it's basically the other half of the kids, this like main kids area. So you have DC Super Friends, and then on the other side is Bugs Bunny Boomtown. So a lot of your kids' rides will be found in this area of the park. And just like DC Super Friends, you just have a handful of attractions for young kids placed throughout the area. Down there is a little area where you can sit down and eat. There's a little frog hopper. Right next to that on the left, there's a little truck ride for kids. And there's a couple more attractions down this hill. We'll show you that in just a second. There's the entrance for the frog hopper. And we're going to continue down this hill further into Bugs Bunny Boomtown. There's a little barrel ride the kids can get wet on and cool off during the hot Georgia summers. There's a little boat ride over here, goes around in circles. And now down here is going to be the other entrance into DC Super Friends. So had we turned and went through the Joker's Funhouse area, that would have taken you to this spot where we're at. But I want to take you through here now because not only is this you'll find an arcade, but this is where you'll find the entrance to Joker's Funhouse Coaster. So there's the entrance to Joker's Funhouse Coaster. It is kind of hidden, so you kind of have to know that's here. But hopefully, watching this video and seeing it in this clip, you will have an idea of where it's at. But over here is the exit for Joker's Funhouse Coaster. And if you proceeded forward, it would take you back into the DC Super Friends. So there is one more look at the Joker's Funhouse Coaster. And so let's backtrack out of here and back into Bugs Bunny Boomtown, and we'll proceed on to the next area. Boomtown Snacks is an area where you can get some of your typical theme park snacks like pretzels, popcorn, nachos. And again, up there is an area where you can eat those same snacks. But that's basically going to do it for Bugs Bunny Boomtown. So again, we're going to now backtrack out of here and onto the next area. There you can see a little mini Ferris wheel for kids. There's the play structure you saw when we entered the area. sign says. That's all, folks. So let's go ahead and head out of here, and we'll proceed on with this walkthrough. So, for reference, if you took a right-hand turn out of Bugs Bunny Boomtown, that would take you back towards Monster Mansion. It can also get you back to the DC Super Friends and the areas by Superman and Blue Hawk and all that stuff. So we're going to continue to the left, and we're going to talk about some of our last attractions. We will see. The Dippin' Dot stand there on the right. See some more Fright Fest decorations. And now the next attraction we will be talking about is another park original. It is the Dahlonega Mine Train, opened with the park in 1967. And it is more of a family-friendly ride, and the station for the attraction is within that building with the orange roof. And the entrance for it is right there, straight ahead on the left. And if we zoom in, you can kind of see a little bit of the attraction. It has 3 lift hills. It's a fairly long experience, and the ending of the ride is actually pretty aggressive for a ride of that type. So, pretty interesting attraction for sure. If you are a Six Flags VIP member, the VIP lounge is located right next to the Dahlonega Mine Train, right there in that building. And the next 2 attractions we'll be talking about are Acrophobia and the other station for the train. That is the other station for the Marthasville train. And then up here is where you'll find the entrance to Acrophobia. Acrophobia, we mentioned it briefly in the beginning. It is the park's drop tower. Stands about 200 feet tall with a drop of 161 feet. It is a fairly unique attraction, as it tilts you. Basically, you get to the top, you're tilted forward, and it rotates you at the top as well. It's kind of one of those rides where you have to experience it in order to have an understanding of what it's like. But it's a very odd sensation when you're riding. I describe it as a stand-up drop tower, basically. You're not sitting down really. It's more you're kind of like hanging, and it's a very odd sensation for sure. Definitely, and if you do happen to come when the ride is open, I definitely recommend checking it out. And now the last attraction we'll be talking about is Twisted Cyclone. And I see it going up the lift hills. Why don't we pause for a moment and watch it go through a little bit of its course. Now, Twisted Cyclone was an RMC redo of Georgia Cyclone. Georgia Cyclone ran for the longest time, and then they would have Rocky Mountain Construction come in and do what they do best, turning old wooden roller coasters into high thrill attractions. And while Twisted Cyclone may not be the biggest and longest ride in the world, it is still one of the best attractions in the park. It is a short ride, but a very sweet ride for sure. And that blue track looks really nice on it as well. So while it may not be as long as rides as Steel Vengeance, or as intense as rides like Iron Gwazi, it is still a really fun attraction, one that you should definitely check out. There you can see the lockers for Twisted Cyclone. Again, they do not require you to put stuff in lockers for their attractions, but they do have them here in case you want to have that extra sense of security and putting yourself in a locker rather than leaving on the side of the station. But there's the entrance for Twisted Cyclone, and there is Cyclone Supplies, which is the gift shop for Twisted Cyclone, as well as the exit for that attraction. There, right next to it, is a set of restrooms, and then right next to that, on the right, is the Flash Pass headquarters. Right across from that is a little gift shop. But the Flash Pass headquarters is where you can purchase the park's Flash Pass, as a Skip the Line Pass. It has 3 different tiers: bronze, gold, and platinum. Bronze gets you, makes it so you don't have to wait in line. Gold reduces your wait time by 50%, and then platinum reduces your wait time by 90%. So if you come to Six Flags Over Georgia and it's a very busy day, it would be worth it to check out the Flash Pass. Do note that the prices do vary on the day that you come, so not all the prices will not be the same for every day. And there you saw the entrance sign, the Six Flags Over Georgia sign, and that means we are now back at the front of the park, which means our walkthrough video is coming to an end. So if you are in Austell, Georgia, or if you're looking for a reason to come down to Georgia, Six Flags Over Georgia is a very solid reason to come down to Georgia. It has, again, a bunch of attractions for thrill seekers and children alike, and one that I recommend stopping by. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you out, and I will see you all in my next video. Until then, this has been Cody with World of Thrills. Take care.